I'd like to start off by saying something that I think we can all agree with. If you read books, you're an idiot. People, when somebody sees somebody reading, they think he must be smart. When I see a guy reading, I'm just like, you don't already know that, dipshit? I think it's weird that kid shows, they got jokes for the adults watching, but how come adult shows don't got jokes for all the kids watching, you know? You know, like you're watching The Sopranos and they're like, we're gonna have to kill these guys, but first off, fuck homework. You better save your applause, you're gonna be doing it a lot. I'm sorry. I got 51 fantastic jokes for you guys. So you guys think in Alaska when they get into bar fights, they were just like, hey, let's keep this inside. If you didn't get that joke, Alaska's cold. I was staying in an Airbnb and there was a list of rules, and the number one rule was no illegal behavior. Duh, you can't do that anywhere. You know, like... I didn't walk into the Airbnb all like about to do some perjury up in this bitch. I feel like you can tell a neighborhood's being gentrified when the bathroom graffiti stops being hilarious and starts becoming sobering political statements. I saw one the other day, it says, your taxes fund genocide. And I was just like, well, thank God I don't pay those. I was in the bathroom the other day. I go there sometimes. But somebody was pulled on the door, and then they proceeded to pull on it 3 more times, even though it was locked. How low is your confidence? You're just like, I must not have been pulling hard enough. The 3 greatest piano players of all time, Stevie Wonder and Ray Charles, who were both blind, and Beethoven, who was deaf. And that really makes you think. Piano must be easy. You don't even need all your senses to be the greatest at it. Beethoven, that motherfucker was probably just slamming his hands down on a keyboard going, these motherfuckers are gonna eat this shit up. I was reading about the Boston Strangler the other day. That's how you know Boston sucks. They only had 1 strangler? I live in LA. We had the Hillside Strangler. That's a strangler just for the side of hills. I feel like I'm going to be spoiling you guys tonight with this next joke. It's probably the best joke ever written. It's the best I've ever written, so the rest of the set's going to suck in comparison. So I don't know if you guys know this. You're supposed to cut the 6-pack rings, because if you don't, they'll end up stuck to ducks' necks. But who doesn't want a 6-pack of ducks? I'm 4 minutes, 15 seconds in. That's the best it's gonna get. A lot of my friends, they've been wearing a hat that has the name of a strip club on it that they bought at that strip club. Isn't it weird to have strip club merch? Who goes into a strip club and is like, I want to support the owners? One thing I like reading is the 1-star reviews of strip clubs, because it's always a guy bullshitting, you know? He'll be like, 1 star, the stripper was rude, or some lie like that, you know? Tell the truth. 1 star, I'm ashamed of the man I've become. You know, one thing I think is really messed up is we only have one international day for women, but they got a whole international house just for pancakes. What's that about? I've noticed every woman I've ever dated has a foot fetish. Yeah, they love my foot-long fucking dick. Yeah, every time I have sex, which is often, women are always walking funny afterwards. Because on the way to the bed, they trip over my foot-long fucking dick. So, I don't know if you could tell, I did not go to college. Not a college educated. I went to community college for like 1 semester. And I noticed there's a lot of Army recruiters, and they walk around like you're supposed to respect their job. It's like, dude, your job is to convince poor people to become disabled. Also, how much of a fuck up you gotta be to end up in the marketing wing of the Army? You know, like... I'm from the South. It's racist there. Yeah, it's racist in the South. The South is so racist, even the South in Africa is racist. Yeah. Only place more racist than the South is probably the past. I'm from Tennessee, home of the Ku Klux Klan. Don't applaud that, please. But, so what I don't get about the Ku Klux Klan, so they misspell Klan. So why are we assuming they're spelling Ku Klux right? Man, this set's like when Superman beat up the Ku Klux Klan in the 40s. I am putting them out of business. A friend of mine, he's a white guy, he told me he's never been called the M-word, and that just means a black person's never been really excited to see you. My parents, they used to leave a book around. It was called How to Raise Troubled Teens. Chapter 1 of that better have been Stop Hitting Them. You know, I don't drink, and I didn't... All I do to keep up sobriety is just smoke 1,000 cigarettes a day. Anyone else smoke? Yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. I don't get the people who don't smoke. It's like, oh, so you got nothing to offer the homeless? Speaking of the homeless, one time I got my antidepressant stolen out of my car, so I've been on the lookout for a homeless guy with a really well-regulated mood. I walked past a dead homeless guy one time. Yeah, and I knew he was dead because at first I thought maybe he's just passed out. Then I walked past a guy who was just passed out. And I was like, that last guy was fucking dead. I didn't go to any anonymous groups to be sober, but I did look at the anonymous groups list, and my favorite one I saw was Codependence Anonymous. Yeah, that's got to be the only anonymous group where you're not allowed to have a sponsor. A lot of addiction in my family, a lot of drug addicts. But it's funny because they're conservative drug addicts, so they'll say stuff like, I don't understand how anybody could be a feminist. But then they will understand why somebody would suck dick for Percocet. Yeah, I grew up with some junkies. The word junkie sounds offensive, kind of. Like, I feel like it'll be a word you can't say in a couple years. You have to say person experiencing junklessness. My sister was a heroin addict, or as I said as a kid, sissy turns to spoons black. I'm glad you guys liked that joke because I had to make a call today to ask permission. She said, mention I'm 10 years sober, and I was like, no. We got heroin addicts in my family and meth heads. Meth is so much less of a poetic drug than heroin. Because there's no poetry in being like, I'ma be the scariest guy at Chevron. You know, I will say about drugs, anybody else sick of these crackheads giving the rest of us honest, hard-working, copper wire thieves a bad name? I don't know if you could tell, I'm no stranger to bad neighborhoods. No stranger. It's funny to be a white guy in a bad neighborhood because you get to experience the ultimate form of white privilege, which is getting to sleep through gunshots. Yeah, only a white guy gets to hear a gunshot and be like, well, that's not for me. I feel like you spend too much time in bad neighborhoods when you finally go to a good neighborhood and be like, damn, sure is quiet here. Yeah, that's what they don't tell you about being poor. It's loud. You guys remember the methadone clinics growing up? You remember seeing those and not knowing what they were? Yeah, hell yeah. I remember seeing all those guys, slumped over, and I was like, oh, that must be like the silly guy store. I was excited when I found out what a methadone clinic was. I called up my buddy. I was like, hey, do you know they make a magic orange juice that makes your brother not want to steal everything? Yeah, I grew up broke. I feel like if you grow up broke, you're always kind of broke in your brain, Like the other day, I had the best dream I've ever had, and it was just that I won $10,000 in McDonald's Monopoly. I woke up like, I'm about to save my whole family with this. A lot of poor people, they'll say this. They'll say, the system failed. That's what they'll say. Which actually, the system is not for us. The fact that you're still poor means the system is doing fantastic. If you told the guy who invented the system that your children couldn't eat, he'd be like, perfect. The system is going exactly as planned. I've been poor in the city, and I've also been poor in the suburbs. It's actually worse to be poor in the suburbs because when you're poor in the city, you're just in a bad neighborhood. And in the suburbs, the bad neighborhood is Shane's house. We had a lot of trash in our yard growing up. And you'd think, seeing that trash, maybe there's no trash inside. You would be dead wrong. The trash outside was the trash that couldn't handle inside. My aunt was a prostitute since before I knew what prostitutes were. When I found out, I was like, damn, there's a word for Aunt Janessa? Here's my second prostitute joke. So prostitutes, they say you don't pay them for the sex, you pay them to leave afterwards. That's the saying. That made me think they should charge extra to leave. Because now if you don't pay up, you got a roommate that smokes crack. I accidentally logged in, not logged in, I went onto Pornhub without using my in-private browser. Yeah, don't do that, because then you can't look up anything that starts with a P. Without Pornhub popping up to be like, wouldn't you rather jerk off to sin? Quit looking up those pie recipes. How about you look God in the eye and deny his grace? Weird we pretend porn isn't an evil industry just because it makes us come out of our tiny dicks, right? Yeah, even the titles are fucked up, you know? Like, you'll see one and it'll be like, guy fucks his brother's wife on Christmas. Erectile dysfunction commercials are funny to me because they always show guys doing stuff other than sex, and it's like, oh, maybe that's why you're not hard. It's like, why do you gotta pop a boner to go fishing? One thing I'll do as a joke is I'll expose myself to my friends as a funny joke. And they'll always say the same thing. Oh, it's so small. And it's like, yeah, it's small. I'm flaccid. This wouldn't be funny if I was hard. Soft penis is comedy. A hard penis is a crime. Sex offenders, they gotta tell people, right? Why don't they just slip it in conversation, you know? You're like, how are you doing? And they're like, oh, pretty good for a convicted pedophile. So I love to fuck. I'm great at fucking. That's just all I have to say about. I'm a real pussy getter. My life is easy. That's all I want to say about that. I love to fuck. I love period sex. Yeah, because nothing's hotter to me than knowing I'm not a dad. Thank you. I don't care how many, when I have sex with a woman, I don't care how many people she's had sex with. Because I don't even really think about the people I know that have died. Why would I care about that when I still haven't processed that Popeye is bones? That was a special recommendation. That's a lot of people's favorite joke. It's a lot of people that be like, do Popeye's bones. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it for my big recording. And it will not go as I want. I remember when I was a kid, I thought sex was when you would pee on a lady. Now I'm an adult. I know that's only some of sex. So here's some advice for you guys. A good way to learn how to eat pussy is to spell the alphabet with your tongue. Also a great way to learn the alphabet. One thing I don't get is, why is it cool to eat ass, but it's not cool to drink out of the toilet? I'm on my last joke. It is disgusting, but it is my last joke, so if you do not like it, I leave after this joke. And the show will be over because of this joke. Are you guys fist fucking? Who's fist fucking? Hell yeah. I've done it a couple times. Fist fucking feels like the type of sex porn stars have to make each other laugh. You know? Like you stick your fist up in somebody, and then you roll your sleeve all the way up, and you pull out, and you're like, it ate my hand.